The fight for Florida is shaping up to be a tight race to the finish line on Election Day.
The Real Clear Politics poll average has Joe Biden with a razor-sharp lead of just 1.2%. But our next guest says it's President Trump who will win out in Florida. So joining us now, Justine Sayfie, the publisher of SayfieReview.com, a news site focused on Florida politics. So Justine, what is your prediction based on?
Well, my prediction is based on the turnout numbers. We already know how many Floridians have voted. We know how many Republicans and Democrats have voted. And so far, the Democrats took a very early lead in terms of votes by mail. But since early voting started, the Republicans are outvoting the Democrats every single day in person at their early voting sites across the state. They're chipping into the Democrats' lead by about 40,000 votes per day. If they continue on that projection over the weekend, the margin will be the same that Hillary Clinton had 4 years ago, which was the Democrats had about 100,000 more votes on Election Day than Republicans did. But the Washington Post did a poll and they asked Republicans and Democrats, are you more likely to vote by mail or in person? They found that twice as many Democrats plan to vote by mail than Republicans. So what that means is on Election Day, we're probably going to have a lot more Republicans voting on Tuesday than Democrats, based on the fact that more Democrats are planning to vote by mail than Republicans.
Justine, let's talk about a very important vote in the state of Florida. I'm talking about senior citizens. 4 years ago, President Trump did very well in that demographic, that older demographic. But this time around, older voters seem to be pulling away from him. Is he in danger of losing this block of voters? And I'm asking you, not just because of the polls that we're seeing, but also when you see President Trump mocking Joe Biden for being old, when you see the White House advisor saying we cannot control this virus, this is something that threatens older people. What impact do you think that's having on the older population here in Florida?
Well, I agree with the premise that in 2016, President Trump carried Florida because of the help that he got from the strong support from senior citizens. I think the biggest thing that's hurt the president with seniors in Florida is the COVID pandemic. And I think that many seniors, or some seniors, will probably not want to vote for President Trump because of that. However, I still think his support is strong, and I'm not sure that Joe Biden has galvanized seniors the way that Donald Trump did. So I would say his support is still strong among seniors, maybe not as strong as it was 4 years ago because of COVID.
Justine, former Lieutenant Governor nominee Chris King wrote this in an op-ed today, quote, "In a state where elections are often decided by just a few thousand votes, Trump can't afford to lose a single supporter. Yet his economic failures, incompetence in managing this pandemic, and cruel indifference to those suffering has been felt far and wide, and he won't be able to escape it." End quote. So how does the president overcome those vulnerabilities?
Well, and again, Chris King is a Democrat, ran for governor, a Democratic nomination for the state of Florida. And I think that many voters will see the effort that President Trump has made to combat COVID. And look what's happening in Europe and France and Belgium and the UK and Ireland right now. They're getting a massive, massive second wave. So this is a global phenomenon. It's a global pandemic. We've all experienced people and friends who we've lost or that we've have been afflicted by it. I think that overall, the president's election is going to be affected by the COVID crisis. But the good news for the president in terms of Florida is that Florida has weathered the storm on COVID better than many other states, certainly better than New York. And we don't have the spike that we have, say, in Wisconsin, that's going on in Wisconsin right now, and some of the other Midwestern states. So I think that will help the president in Florida as well.
Well, do you agree that the president does not have a path to victory without winning Florida? And we may find out early on Tuesday because so many early votes are in.
I agree, yes. The Wall Street Journal did an analysis, and they determined that 91% of the paths that Donald Trump has to win the White House go through Florida. So he's only got a 9% pass that will not include Florida. He has to win Florida. I agree with what was said earlier on the show. If Florida goes for Biden, the campaign will be called pretty early. So the Trump has to win Florida to win the White House, no doubt about it.
Okay, Justine Sayfie, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Elliot.
Thank
Thanks.
you.